Yes, we are live. We are live. We are live. What's good, my good people? Travell, C.W. Lynch, Mr. What? And happy Thursday, man. Good morning to you, man. How you doing? What's good? How is everything, right? Before we jump into everything else, just how you doing, man? Good morning to you, wherever you are. Good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this live or on the replay, and wherever you may be in the world. Just what's up? What's good? What's happening? All right. Before we jump into all of the heavy content, man, I just want to just greet you and just say what's good, what's happening. Guys, I want to welcome you into another episode of A Fresh Perspective on Prayer. Yes, a fresh perspective on prayer. Guys, it's just like I don't know if you wear glasses or not, but like I got a pair for long distance now. I got a pair for short distance now, right? I got all these different, right, lenses, right? All these different ways of seeing the world at large. And, sometimes our perspective of prayer, it needs to be renewed. It needs to be freshened up a bit. It needs to be given a new set of lenses, right? And so that is the purpose of these episodes on prayer. Many years ago, I wrote a book called "The Corridor to Confidence: A Step-by-Step Guide to Cultivating Confidence in Prayer," because I looked around the church, and obviously, it was through my own experiences, my own environment. But I was noticing that men specifically, um, again, in my estimation, men didn't have a lot of confidence in prayer. Men didn't show up to prayer gatherings very often. Many times the women outnumbered the men. And again, that could be for various reasons, but it still sparked something within me. And then whenever I would be in prayer circles and I would hear other men pray, not that I'm judging how they pray or how you should pray, but you still get that sense that I'm going to say these words, I'm going to do this act, this thing called prayer, but I'm not really confident in my ability to do it. I'm not really confident in my ability to get to God. And then when I had one-on-one times with a lot of the men that I would mentor and a lot of the men that I was in relationships with, they would confess, or they would explain, that they really didn't have a lot of confidence in prayer, and that when they looked at the time that they spent in prayer versus the time that they spent investing in other ways and other means in which to move forward in life, I mean, prayer was like next to last. I mean, it was a very, very small amount of time. And by God's grace and mercy, I was, mentored at an early Christian age, right? It's like you're born naturally, right? So you got that natural, age and range. But then when you become born again, and you begin as a babe in Christ, right? And that's really what I'm talking about. Early on in my walk with God, I was mentored by some great men, strong, fortified men, and they knew how to pray, and they taught me how to pray. And I was introduced to something called EMP, early morning prayer. And that's always been just a foundation of my life and for my life. And so out of that, I was inspired to write this book because I wanted to literally teach men how to pray with confidence. Anytime you have confidence in something, you're going to do it more often. It's more likely that you're going to do something that you have confidence in versus something that you don't have confidence in, right? Does that make sense? So that's where this entire series came from. If you are not familiar with my YouTube channel, I Am the Possible. I'm on YouTube, and if you scroll down on my YouTube page, there is a whole playlist that is dedicated to this video series. I began it as a blog a couple years ago, and just whenever I feel led to, whenever I'm inspired to, like this morning, I'll create a video and just share a perspective that's going to help to improve your prayer life and your life with God. Okay, that's my intention, right? To share a perspective on prayer. one that maybe you haven't had before, maybe you've never heard before, maybe you've never been introduced to before, and it's going to help improve your prayer life and your life with God, because God is at the center of prayer. And what I've discovered is that one of the reasons we don't have confidence in prayer is because we don't have confidence in our relationship with the one to whom we're praying. Okay, does that make sense? The confidence that we lack in prayer, the dialogue, okay, the conversation, right? The reason that we lack confidence in the act or the behavior, right? Or the doing of prayer is because we lack confidence in our relationship with the one to whom we're praying. And so many times our prayer life stinks because our perspective and our perception of God in and of himself kind of stinks. And our relationship, him to us, meaning we perceive something flawed in the way he sees us, right? So we think of there's something wrong with me. So God is judging me, thinking of me in a certain way. And that hinders our ability to pray with confidence, right? So again, you name it, you frame it, you put it into your context. But if you've ever battled, struggled with having a consistent prayer life, one that inspires you, one that you feel, motivated by, inspired by, you feel confident in your ability to do it and the results from it. If you lack any of that, then this video series is for you. And I want to encourage you that if this is the first time that you're hearing about this video series that I started a couple of years ago, then go check out my YouTube channel. I Am the Possible on YouTube. I Am the Possible on YouTube. Go check that out. Again, just scroll down about mid-screen and you'll see a whole series, and check out the episodes that I've already recorded. And then, of course, stay tuned to this one here. So today I'm calling this one Stop Overlooking Your Blessings. Stop overlooking your blessings. And so I want to just go through some slides with you and just really break it down systematically, and looking at first what the problem is, okay, with our dealing with blessings, because I think blessings is really one of those words that I think many Christians and many people of faith can identify with. It's something that we've used and we continue to use in various ways, and then so I just use that word, but truly when I say blessing, I'm just really thinking about us overlooking anything that God desires for us, anything that God wills for us, and anything that we may already have. Okay. So with that in mind, what's the problem? Right? Before we can get to a solution, we have to have a problem. Before we have, answers, we have to have questions, right? So what are we dealing with? If you're someone who is frustrated with God, right? You go to prayer, you go to pray, and God ain't answering, or God don't hear me, or I don't feel whatever I'm looking to feel, and so I'm frustrated with God. My answers aren't coming. The other side that you may be on, or you may be experiencing as well, is what I would call fruitless or faithless prayer life, meaning you're not seeing any progress, right, that you can identify that's directly linked to your prayers. And even when you pray, you don't have very much faith in what you're praying. Okay. And those are all deterrents, guys. Those are all things that can deter us from continuing in prayer, right? Wherever you don't see fruit, and wherever you don't have faith, and wherever you're frustrated, you're probably not going to do it very often. You're going to probably steer towards something else, even if that something else really isn't giving you what you ultimately want. If you perceive any sort of progress, if you perceive any sort of mental or emotional regulation due to doing that other thing rather than prayer, then it's very human of you, it's very human of us to gravitate toward the thing that we feel and sense is moving us forward, right? And so that's why sometimes we take our confidence out of prayer, and we take our confidence out of the church, and we take our confidence out of our relationship with God, and we take our confidence out of spirituality, and we put it in tangible things, hard work, sweat equity, right? Blah, blah, blah. Those things are not bad. They're just an option. They're a choice. And I believe that there's a great mix of both. But I'm just trying to lay the foundation for what I'm trying to get across. Many times we lack confidence in this thing called prayer because we're not seeing progress. And again, that's what inspired this book. Okay. That's what inspired this book. I wanted to see men not only have progress in life, but progress in their relationship with God. Because listen, man, many times we just don't understand things. Many times we just have, excuse me, a flawed perspective of something. We just don't truly understand it. Remember, perspective is looking at a thing, right? That's what I specialize in, helping you to look at it a different way. But integrated in that, right, is perception, the ability to look into a thing, to understand it, right? And so sometimes our understanding of prayer and our understanding of our relationship with God is a little off. So let's go back to the slides. Again, if you're frustrated with God or you are experiencing fruitless or faithless prayers, then this is for you. All right, check it out. What's causing this? Remember, today's episode is called Stop Overlooking Your Blessing. And so I want to keep it in the context of, what you're seeing and as it's related to the blessing, okay? So the blessing is usually seen and said in a future tense. Have you ever noticed that? Oh God, I pray that you will bless me with a new job, a new boyfriend, a new girlfriend, a new relationship. Bless me with healing. Bless me with deliverance. Bless me with wisdom, with knowledge, with understanding, right? God, you said in all of my getting, get understanding. So bless me with understanding, right? So the list goes on and on and on. But what I'm trying to stress is that many times, not all the time, but many times, this word blessing is seen and said in a future tense, meaning it's something out there in the future, out there somewhere at some point in time. I may or may not get this. And what I want to draw your attention to today is that the blessing doesn't always have to be seen or said in a future tense. Sometimes it can be seen and said in a present tense. First perspective, the first fresh perspective. Maybe a blessing, which is a empowerment to succeed in whatever context. Maybe a blessing is not only something to be received, but something to be realized, as in it's already there. Maybe you are blessed, and maybe you are the blessed, in addition to having the ability to ask for a blessing. I'm gonna let the cat out the bag, okay? Spoiler alert. I'm gonna just kind of I'm gonna just jump right to the end right now. This isn't about picking sides. Oh, I've been praying for a blessing. Now I'm gonna just stop that all together and I'm gonna switch it to looking for the blessing that I already have. There's value in both. There's value in both. This isn't about picking or choosing sides. This is about integrating, bringing into and working out a nice flow, a nice balance of both, and a healthy respect for both. So again, guys, maybe I just want you to consider this perspective. Maybe a blessing and empowerment to succeed is not only something that you are to receive, but it is something to be realized, as in it's already there. Now, how do we get to that? Well, let me share one more slide with you before we get there. It can be hard to observe because we're talking about present tense. So we're talking about something that's already there. It can be hard to observe what's actually there. Stay with me, because we overlay it with what's already there in our minds. This morning, guys, I was on the bike. I'm forgetting the name of the bike, but I was on a bike this morning. I was at the gym and I'm on the bike. And as you guys have heard me tell you and share and encourage you a million times over, right? Get to God before the world gets to you. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you've heard me say this before. Get to God before the world gets to you. And really what I'm saying is, like Jesus in my favorite passage, Mark 135, God became Jesus's priority. He got up early in the morning and got it in with God. He got his instructions and his inspiration and his motivation and his direction and right, he got with God before he started getting around other people. Because if you get around people before you get with God, then people can distract you and deflate you before you ever get a chance to be inspired and to be inflated by the word and the wisdom and the will of God. So it's just an order of things. But this morning, as I'm on the bike, I felt like God was saying, "Man, you telling people get to God before the world gets to them. But are we and are you, Travell, getting to me?" I want you to let that soak in. This is what I felt like God was saying to me. Travell, you are preaching from the mountaintop. Get to God before the world gets to you. Get to God before the world gets to you. It's a great concept. I believe it in with all my heart, soul, and strength. However, I believe God questioned me this morning and said, but are you and are they getting to me? Or are we getting to the overlay? And that takes me back to this, the overlay. Guys, if we are not careful, we will go into our time of prayer and we will go into the next day with what's already on our minds. Let me break this down for you the best way I can. You go into prayer with your agenda pre-planned instead of going into prayer saying, I need to see something, observe something, be witnessed to, be educated, to be inspired by, to really observe something that God wants to show me, that God wants to reveal to me, that God wants to allow me to see something that is awesome, something that is beautiful, something that is inspiring, something that is just amazing that already exists versus coming in with my laundry list, agenda, to-do list, however you want to name it and frame it. But the idea is when we go into our time of prayer, we go in with an overlay. Okay. Now, if you are in the tech world or if you're into video creation or if you're like a social media person where you're creating content, you're creating videos and things such as that, a lot of times in our video apps there's this thing called overlay. You will upload a video, and when you upload the video into the app, there's a button that you can hit called overlay. And when you overlay, you take another image and you place that image on top of the video. Or you can do a still shot. You can upload a picture and then hit the overlay button, and it takes another picture that you choose from your phone or from your computer, and it lays it on top. And it's kind of transparent. You can still see some of what's underneath that original picture or video, but the one that you use as your overlay, it goes on top of it, and it kind of like distorts the picture that's beneath it. So now you have this see-through image on top of this other image, and you can kind of make it out, but there's something on top. That's what I mean by overlay, myself included. We go into our time of prayer with the overlay. We are just obsessed with the overlay. We already got something on our minds. It's already there. And we call ourselves going into prayer to receive from God, kind of remembering he's God, like we're not telling him what to do, but we're really seeking him for his will and his ways and his word. But anyway, that's another video. So, but unknowingly, we go in with the overlay. I need a blessing here. I need a blessing there. I need a blessing like this. I need a blessing like that. I need this to be blessed. I need them to be blessed. I need to be blessed. We need to be blessed. Blessed in the city, blessed in the field, right? We sing about it, right? We are blessed. Ain't nothing wrong with them songs, but we go in, right, looking for what we have predetermined we need. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's why I said, and I'll go ahead and show my slide. Booyah. Don't eliminate, integrate. Develop a balance for both. There's nothing wrong with asking for a blessing. There's nothing wrong with asking for a blessing. And there's nothing wrong with going into prayer with no agenda and with no to-do list and with no laundry list and with no nothing for God to do for you today. It's okay to just go into prayer and just show up. And just show up. Now, in more advanced episodes, I'll get into the fact that our whole life is a prayer. Some of us ain't ready for that yet, so we'll get into that in later episodes, but your life is a prayer. I once asked a question to an audience, if we, if your life was a silent movie, how back in the days, right? I don't know if it was the 40s or 50s, whenever it was, but when movies didn't have sound yet, we weren't as advanced as we are today, when it was just a picture, black and white picture, but it had no sound, and the words became just captions. And so they just put like little words on the screen for you to like follow along, but there was nothing said. And listen, even before that day, it was just a picture moving on the screen, and there was no words said or shown. All you had to do was observe that picture, and then you had to interpret what was happening. If I did nothing but observe your life, what would it say? What would it say? See, this is the level of prayer that we can get to where we can go into prayer and we don't have to say nothing. We can just present ourselves to God and be with God and observe what already is, versus coming in being obsessed and being overwhelmed by our own overlay, our own agenda. And so I just wanted to offer you guys these perspectives this morning, because I think that it will help you to grow. And it's helping me to grow in my ability to pray, right, with faith, to have fruit, and to not be so frustrated with God. Because when we begin to observe and we begin to really position ourselves in prayer in this kind of way, then God is less obligated, if you want to put it in those terms. God is less obligated to bless, 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 bless. We can start saying, man, let me see what he's already blessed. Let me see how, in the many ways, I'm already blessed. Let me see what I already got. Let me see what he's already done. Let me see what's already here. And that just takes on a whole different life. Your whole prayer life is changed. It's improved. It's more well-rounded. It's more balanced. It's less frustrating. It's more fruitful. And it's certainly more faithful, Full, full of faith, because you are looking at, observing, seeking out what's already been done, what's already been made available, what's already here. All right. So I hope and pray that made sense to you guys. I hope and pray that it's blessed you, that it's helped you to improve your prayer life and your life with God. Guys, if you're interested in my book, The Corridor to Confidence, Step-by-Step Guide to Cultivating Confidence in Prayer, I am on Amazon. All right. So you can still pick up this book. It's still in print. It's still available on Amazon. You can also reach me at iamthepossible.com if you're a new listener, someone that has not come across this content. I am going to flip this into a podcast episode as well. Go ahead and release that out in the airwaves, so that other people can get this content as well, if they're not a follower on YouTube or Facebook. So but yeah, man, that's it. Just really wanted to share that with you guys. Again, hope and pray that it's giving you a fresh perspective on this thing called prayer. And I am wishing you, praying for you, believing for you, just a really just great prayer experience, right? Beginning today. Put this stuff to put this into work, put this into action. Take action now, okay? And have a great rest of the week in prayer, yea, even month, year, and rest of your life. Until next time, love you guys, praying for you guys, believing in you guys. This is Terrell C.W. Lynch, Mr. What? And this has been another episode of A Fresh Perspective on Prayer.